Hello, I'm Dr. Luan Oprea. Welcome to the Public Education Summit of 2018, Impact of Taxation Without Representation. Thank you for joining us. Today we are discussing Strengthening Our Education System, Teenagers' Perspective. Our topic is social media. And I know this topic is very important to teenagers. I'd like to introduce my guests. Sandra Sadia, welcome, and Kyle Brewer, welcome. So let's talk about social media. Why is it important that teenagers have social media? Sandra.
Well, I feel that it's a really good way to connect with friends. Especially with the technological advancements, it's just so easy to talk to each other, message each other. Sometimes I do feel like it's a little too important in our lives, where we spend too much time with it. But I like it how it is.
Okay. And Kyle, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, also I agree with what Sandra said on the fact that it's a good place where you can talk to your friends and everything. But the bad thing about it, it might become like a burden to some people, or like too much of a strong connection to it, because sometimes social media can be a bad thing and all.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you all both brought up topics that I believe that I know are important to both of you, but also to other teenagers. And I know that sometimes, there are others, adults in particular, that sometimes don't understand, why social media is important. So what are some of the things that you all have heard that maybe people have misconceptions of social media? Sandra?
Well, I don't really believe that there are any misconceptions. I think that there are exaggerations, because teenagers, we're all different. We can't all be grouped up into one stereotype. So some of us use social media too little, some too much, some are just right in the middle. And I think each teenager should be treated differently with how they use social media.
Okay, and I appreciate your answer. And Kyle, also, what do you see any misconceptions, or have you heard of any, or possibly exaggerations, like Sandra said?
Um, Adding on to what she said about the exaggerations and what everybody believes about social media, I would say that there are a few upon the fact that how dangerous it is, and how some people believe that social media is like a weapon, I would say, and like it hurts a lot of people, and sometimes social media can be used as something good. For example, like um, giving somebody or showing somebody love, or showing that somebody affection as talking to them and helping them out. And if they're in like a hard place, talk to them, pushing them away from that hard place, I would say. And yeah.
So you brought up some things that lead me to my next question, which is, what are some of the good things? What are the pros about having social media?
Well, it is so easily accessible. I remember when I was physically ill and I could barely leave my bed, I would go on my computer or on my phone just to chat with my friends, and it definitely made me feel less alone.
Okay. And do you have any thoughts, Kyle?
Yeah, also in social media you can like follow your idols or something like that, and see how like they're living, and sometimes see how their life is and see how extraordinary, like like the extraordinary things that they have. Like I would say their house and their cars. Some people like cars and how they look and their designs and the fashion. Sometimes they have ads and like you see some clothes that you like. You get this clothes off of Instagram or another outlet of social media.
Okay. So you brought up Instagram, and I also know there's Snapchat too. So sometimes with social media, there is a video, or as you mentioned, that there's for convenience you can look up like houses or things that you might really enjoy. You know, what are some other things that you and possibly your friends discuss about the good things of social media?
Um, Sometimes me and my friends discuss about the funny things on social media, and sometimes they post like little memes, like things, like really funny things about people, like about when LeBron James was talking to J.R. Smith, and it was really funny, and it was a really funny conversation.
Okay. And Sandra?
Um, we don't really, well, my friend group doesn't really discuss things on social media. It's more like we share what we know, and we share like memes and just funny jokes.
Okay. And then the other side, that now that we've talked about the positive, good things about social media, what are some things that you may see that might not be beneficial when you're looking at social media? You mentioned, Kyle, about it could be used as a weapon.
Yeah, as in, like, as if you post something and somebody doesn't like it, they could post a hate comment towards you and may hurt your feelings or something like that, and it really could hurt you and put you in the mind state, oh wow, and you might just delete that picture and you might rethink about doing things like that, as if taking pictures like that, doing things with certain people or stuff in that area.
Okay. Any thoughts, Sandra?
Not really.
Okay. Well, then, one of the things that I've heard is there's sometimes bullying over social media. What do you all think about that?
I feel like the people that bully people on social media are cowards because they have to use a platform for themselves to actually hurt people and like hurt their feelings and downgrade their personality or how they think about themselves and make their confidence go low. And I feel like that's not even nice, or any human should do that. And also, I remember one of my friends were getting bullied online, and they were saying all these hateful things, like talking about their mother, how ugly they are, and how fat he is. And I was like, wow. I jumped into it and told him to stop, and it's just so immature to do that. So yeah.
So, what I hear is that you really supported your friend that was being bullied over social media. And I would think your friend appreciated you doing that.
Yeah, he's now one of my closest friends. We weren't really like friends like that, but now we are like really good friends.
Okay. And Sandra, have you or any of your friends experienced bullying over social media?
I'm lucky enough not to have experienced, or any of my friends experienced cyberbullying, but so I don't have a lot to say, but there was this one very recent incident on Twitter with the actor from Stranger Things, Millie Bobby Brown. They used her as a subject of this like really twisted like joke. They basically used pictures of her and then captioned it with homophobic remarks, which she did not believe. She did not say any of that. And this was on Twitter, and it just was viral. it went viral. It was spread all over, and she deactivated her Twitter account because she just felt so attacked. And it's unfortunate that I believe she's 14. It's unfortunate that she had to experience that.
That is very unfortunate. So this leads me to my next question. How can we change social media so that we can either decrease and or eliminate bullying?
Well, I think it's not really a problem with social media when people are getting harassed or bullied. It's more like ourselves we need to fix and just take a step back, because I noticed that when I speak on social media, there's not really like a filter or anything. I just like say whatever I want. It's less intimidating to have like no eyes on you, and you can just type or say whatever you want. But some people don't recognize that some of the things they say hurt people, or maybe they do recognize it and they just want to inflict harm on other people. But maybe maybe social media could have like filters or banned words that are particularly offensive, or anything that could lead to cyberbullying or harassment, and just ban it from being spread through the internet.
Yes, and you definitely brought up some things that could be really important for us to, change and also advocate, especially ourselves. And I was wondering your thoughts too, Kyle.
I agree with what Sandra said upon the fact of putting a filter on any social media outlet, like some words or in specific, like curse words, racial slurs, something that could truly offend somebody and or harm them mentally. So yeah.
And one of the things I heard from both of you is that, supporting others so that, they know that they're not alone in anything they may be experiencing with bullying or cyberbullying. I was also hearing about advocating. We as adults, definitely don't want to see, teenagers be bullied. So what are some suggestions that you all would have that we could, be part of changing the bullying that happens over social media?
What my parents do, they like monitor me, as in like they know my social media account name, like so they know what I'm posting or what I'm saying or who I'm talking to and what I'm doing, just to make sure I'm not doing anything that would offend somebody or harm somebody. And I feel like that's very effective, because even if I would or would think about or would like to do that, I would be caught. I would get caught, and they would talk to me about it and tell me not to do it. So yeah.
Okay. And Sandra?
My parents believe in me and trust me enough to not harm other people online, and just generally not be stupid online. So I think going back to it, going back to what Kyle said, I think parents should definitely have a responsibility to keep an eye on their kids, make sure they're not doing anything wrong. Even though online it's very difficult to monitor what your children are doing, but maybe if they're like acting or behaving oddly, or something's off about them, you should definitely try to talk to them. And if they're being like a snappy teenager and being like, oh, nothing's wrong, or just go away, definitely keep trying. Don't just stop with the first sentence that comes out of your mouth, like something wrong. Don't just stop there. It definitely means a lot to know your parents care for you and want the best for you.
Okay, well, thank you, Sandra and Kyle. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back in a few minutes.
Your son wants to get a cat, but you're allergic.
Maybe he could be an outdoor cat that lives in our neighbor's yard, 3 doors down.
Mom.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Welcome back to the Public Education Summit of 2018, Impact of Taxation Without Representation. Hi, I'm Dr. Luan Oprea, and I want to welcome my guests back to our second segment, Sandra Sadiwa and Kyle Brewer. This is Strengthening Our Education System, Teenagers' Perspective. And we've been talking about social media. And I noticed during the break we had one of our adults ask you a question. And I wondered, how do you all feel about, adults' perspective on social media? What might we misunderstand about what teenagers do with their social media?
Well, I think most adults tend to turn a blind eye or sort of look down upon social media or just new things because they don't understand it. And I think that you should be more willing to learn about new things and be less afraid and reluctant to just see what advancements the younger generation has made, see how you can bring positive things to it and do good things with it.
Yeah, and also adults don't really understand that some children would like to, I would say, show off their lives and show that they're going to this place or doing that thing, meeting this person, doing specific things in their life that's like a milestone or an achievement or a dream of theirs. And just to show off that they did that, show everybody or their friends that they did it, might be like something really important for them to do. Yeah.
I appreciate you all saying that because I know Sandra and Kyle, both of you said that your parents respect the fact that you all use social media. And I certainly heard that you all, respect them as well as other adults. Where do you feel that we as adults can be more respectful of your input and also your understanding of social media?
Well, I think definitely don't turn a blind eye and be like, oh, it's those kids again doing kid things or something like that. I think adults should just be more curious and respectful about what these new things are, and be really sincere, like, how does this work? What do you do on this? Things like that.
Also, in the fact that adults don't really explore new things because they might fear it, because new things do fear some people. And I think that if adults were to expand their horizon of social media and actually explore it and see how it is, I feel like they would understand the point and the place that we children are coming from.
Okay, and I certainly heard that. One of the things that I have heard from teenagers, and I'd like for you all to let me know what your views are, is that social media has been important to your education. And how has that been for both of you?
Personally, if I'm being honest, I don't really see a place for education from the school curriculum in social media. Social media is, for me, just like a fun place where you can socialize and talk to your friends or see how they're doing. So I don't really see like school subjects being brought up or like taught. Like definitely if I saw like a page from a textbook like just on my social media, definitely not read it. I don't know why it would be there in the first place. But I do believe that you can spread awareness and positivity through social media. Like there have been some protests and rallies that I was not aware of because I don't really watch the news. But I would see it on my social media and be like, oh, I didn't know. I might go to that to advocate for what I believe in, or it's like anything that I learn from social media, it's usually awareness.
Okay.
Also, in my life, my teacher, or my old teacher now, Mr. Monsanto, he's my math teacher. He has an Instagram, and he would just like post like pictures of us, like as a class. He would just take pictures, and we'd be okay with it. We would be okay with it. Just take pictures, funny pictures, cool pictures, goofy pictures. And sometimes if I had a problem with a math problem, and like in algebra or pre-algebra, algebra, I would just ask him and be like, oh, what about this and that? Do you know, could you help me out with this? And when is this due? Can I turn this in again? Something like that. But yeah, that's the only teacher that I know that has an Instagram, so, or social media.
I heard both of you about how education may not necessarily have an impact with social media. I was thinking as I was listening to both of you, in what creative ways can your teachers use social media to be in touch with their students so that they can learn maybe in a different way?
Okay, so there's a difference between social media and the internet as a whole. I do believe that teachers can and should use the internet to transfer data or scan files or homework or study guides for their students, just so it's easily accessible. It's online. Most students and kids have phones or tablets or some type of device that they can access the internet with. And I think teachers should be willing to learn how the internet works and how to upload things and how to share work and just papers with their students. And it's like literally less weight off our shoulders, like our backpacks, to just have a tiny little phone or a tablet that can you can read pages from your textbook. And if usually when teachers have questions about like why isn't this working, or how do you do this, or like why isn't the smart board working, students are usually very willing to help you and help you learn, because we like these things were like made in our generation, the internet and social media. So we grew up with it, and we know usually the ins and outs. And I, for one, am very willing to help teachers and generally adults with the internet and social media.
Okay, thank you.
Teachers could also like I would say post the problem, like homework just to remind them, or there is also an app called Remind where you can just text a student, tell them blah blah or notification. But the teachers could also just post and say, oh blah blah blah, there's homework due today. Make sure that you do it. There's 4 problems, and the student just could be aware of it and they see it and they could do it. As if they didn't, they'd get a bad grade, it would lower the grade, and then they wouldn't be satisfied. But I feel like if teachers were able to or were willing to do that, I feel like students will prosper really better.
I heard a lot of positive things you said about what teachers could do to really support their students in learning, especially using social media. So we have about 2 minutes left, and let me just get an idea of what is one thing that you would teach your teacher about social media?
For one, I would actually teach my teachers how to first post or get an Instagram to make sure that they are able or knowingly how to knowing how to post and let the students know about their homework. Because if I was to forget about my homework, or I would leave my binder at school on accident, or if I had a field trip and we had homework that day, I would want to have the homework so I wouldn't get a bad grade on the homework assignment. And I feel like if I was to teach them that, I would most definitely get better grades. I already have good ones, but better.
Okay.
Well, I would probably teach them how to use it first and tell them what it's generally used for. For instance, Instagram, you don't really send information via text. It's more you share pictures, but on Twitter or Facebook, you can do a combination of both. Yeah, I don't really. Social media is like, for me, like a creative, fun space. All you really need to know is how to use it, and you can use it however you want.
Well, Kyle and Sandra, I really appreciate you all sharing a lot about your understanding of social media and also educating me, because I am from the generation that did not have social media, and then now we do. And some of the things I heard were to definitely be open-minded, especially as adults, to be open-minded to what teenagers are learning and want to learn in social media. So I want to thank you all for coming today, especially talking about social media. And thank you for joining us today on the Public Education Summit of 2018, Impact of Taxation Without Representation. For more information, please contact me at opreal@trinitydc.edu.